Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about the best NHL prospect pools and the teams that I think have the best pools in all the NHL. Now I have four main teams in this video, but a few honorable mentions because a lot of good teams have a lot of good prospect pools. Now we're going to start with the Buffalo Sabres, as their best prospect is Casey Mittelstadt, who's played a few games recently in the NHL. I think he has 3 games played, 2 points in the NHL, but in the World Juniors, he's fantastic, getting 11 points, and really, I think he was the best guy on that squad. He had some time down in the minors, and he's been playing good there, but he's been called up to the NHL recently, and having 2 points for the Buffalo Sabres in 3 games is a good point per game pace for the team that he's on, and he definitely deserves to be probably the best prospect the Buffalo Sabres at least have to offer. Then you got Alex Nylander, who's just called up today, brother of William Nylander. He has 26 points in 48 games played in the AHL. Of course, call out to the Buffalo Sabres. Who knows what he'll do in the NHL if he gets the time. Of course, he's looking to be a good player. Not as good as William Nylander will be, but I think he will be a solid second-line guy, possibly first-line guy. I mean, the Buffalo Sabres are wide open right now, so maybe he slots into a first line. But I think he'd be a good, solid second line of the future, even though he was attracted pretty high. I don't think that he was quite worth that stock, at least looking back on it, but he's still going to be a decent player. He's still looking like probably the best winger that the Buffalo Sabres have to offer in their system right now. Then you got another interesting player in Viktor Olufsen, who was a 7th-round pick a few years back. He is age 22. He is old, and he was a 7th-round pick. So why is he so high, and why is he even listed on this? And that's a few reasons here. He's leading the CHL in goals, and that's a big thing there. He needed to produce in an age category like this, where he's kind of getting old there, and he's not being less considered as a prospect. He needed to get a goal, like a season like this in the CHL, and definitely has leading the CHL in goals. I think with 28 or 27, he's playing fantastic, and he definitely deserves to be on the, I guess on the ranking with the Buffalo Sabres. He's doing fantastic there, and he might transition over to the NHL. I don't know how well he'll do there, but in the CHL, he definitely has made a name for himself as having the most goals, and the CHL is going to get you some recognition. And you probably have the Buffalo Sabres' best defensive prospect in Brandon Ghuli. He's played well. He was a 2015 draft pick. I mean, he's looking to be a good player in the NHL and probably their best defensive prospect. And he has gotten some little playing time in the NHL, just a couple of games, but in the AHL he has played a lot better. I think he was in the range of, I think he was one of the better scoring-wise players on the AHL for the Rochester Americans, and he's been playing well in the AHL. Definitely had some time in the NHL. I think it was like 5 games or something. He was playing well there, I heard that, and he's just looking like probably their best defensive prospect. He's looking pretty decent. I think he was a 2nd-round pick from a couple years back, and he definitely looks to be a decent prospect for the Buffalo Sabres, at least their best defensive one. Now we're going to head over to the Minnesota Wild, and we're going to start with Kirill Kaprizov, who is in the KHL, of course, and has starred in the Olympics. I mean, he's looking fantastic, as he's a former 5th-round pick, I think from 2015, and he's looking to be a fantastic offensive player. Of course, getting the game-winning goal in overtime against Germany in the Olympics. That's going to make a name for yourself. He also had, I think he had 10 games in that whole tournament, not 10 games, 10 goals in that whole tournament. And he was really one of the better players in that whole tournament, and he played fantastic as well. He definitely deserved to make a name for himself, and he was one of the best players on that Olympic Russia team. He's just been playing fantastic for the past couple of years, really looking to be a steal. He doesn't look too great defensively. He has a lot to work on, a lot of his game, but offensively, he's looking to do fantastic, and he might end up being like a top 6 guy for Minnesota, which would be fantastic out of a 5th-round pick there. And next up, you got Luke Coonan, who has played fantastic in the AHL. I think he has 10 goals. He's doing good for the playing time that he's getting. I think he was captain for the USA team a couple years back, drafted 15th overall in 2015, and he's had some leadership roles. He's had some leadership time, and that's really key for a prospect who is still young enough. I think he's age 20, and he definitely has some time still. Just needs to keep getting better, just slowly and steadily, and he'll end up being a good top 9 player for them, maybe even top 9 or top 6 player for Minnesota, and he definitely could fit into that role. He's a center. He looks to be a decent player. Even though the Minnesota Wild have an abundance of centers, I think that the Luke Coonan could be fantastic for them. And even though that's a position that they're kind of, I think that they'd rather have a winger, at least with Kirill Kaprizov, you have a winger, but I think with Luke Coonan, he's still a center, but his centers are valuable as well. I still think that he's going to look pretty good in the NHL. I think that he will play very good there. Next up, we got another guy from the 2015 draft, Jordan Greenway, 50th overall, another winger that the Wild do need, and even though he has played a few games this season, 3 games to be exact, 0 points in the NHL, sadly, even though he hasn't played that much time, he's primarily up on this list because of his play in the NCAA, where he has 35 points in 36 games, which basically a point per game. That's pretty elite at that age and that league. That's fantastic numbers. He got a few games in the NHL, and not to worry, even though he has 0 points, he's still getting used to it as well. I'm going to start with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we're going to go and start with Cal Foote, one of the best defensemen looking back on the 2017 draft. I think he was 15th overall, something like that, but he's exploded this season from production. He was decent, he was pretty good in his draft year, but this season he's just been fantastic. In the WHL, he's gotten 63 points in 55 games played, and that league, when you're a defenseman and getting that many points, that's phenomenal, and he's done fantastic offensively for that team, for the Colonial Rockets, and he's looking to be a fantastic player going into the next few years from the Tampa Bay Lightning if he ends up getting there. And he's going to be looking like another defenseman who is just offensively gifted for them. Again, probably another, I wouldn't say Sergachev level, but probably going to be close to that, if not better than him. I mean, he's looking to be that similar defenseman where he is that borderline fantastic offensive defenseman that isn't too great defensively, but still fantastic with the offensive upside. That can be another player that they could want, and another kind of Sergachev level player. Then you have Anthony Cicarelli, who was drafted 72nd overall in 2015, has 37 points in 51 AHL games. Now, it's not fantastic, but it's pretty good, and in 15 games with the NHL, he has 9 points, which is more than a half a point per game, which is good for the NHL, especially for a rookie. That's what you want to see, and he has some good numbers. I think was sent back down to the AHL, and I can't really remember. He might still be with the team, but he's either in those two leagues, but he's still playing decent, and with the NHL, he's have more production. So he's been playing well in the NHL. He's gotten some good line mates with him, but again, he's been playing fantastic in both leagues, and he's definitely impressed me and a lot of other people. Another good forward in their system is Boris Tkachuk. Now, let me know in the comments down below if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm almost 99% sure I'm not. But he was drafted 44th overall in 2016. And he's looking really, really good in the OHL. 85 points in 58 games. And that's great for the OHL. That's not fantastic, but that's still pretty good. And he's looking pretty decent. He had 6 points in 7 games in the World Junior Championships with Canada. And that is a pretty stacked team right there. So to get time and to get that many points on that team is pretty successful. And he's been playing fantastic in both leagues, and he's looking to be, in a couple of years, a good Tampa Bay Lightning player, and I'm hopeful for that because he is looking pretty decent. There's a couple more options to put on this list, like Tyler Ranish, a couple other guys, but really I settled on Tkachuk. Again, let me know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's been fantastic, and I think he will be probably one of the more successful Tampa Bay Lightnings of this prospect pool, at least currently. Then probably the runaway favorite for the best prospect pool, at least in my opinion, I have the Vancouver Canucks, who just have a surplus of very, very good NHL talents. You got Pettersson, you got Gaudette, you got your Levy, you got Demko, you got Lind, you got Jonathan Dahl, and there's loads fantastic players, and of course, with this new draft, this 2018 draft, they might get another great player from the draft, and who knows what they'll draft then. They can really make this prospect pool the best in a long time. If these guys develop, they'll definitely be a lot better next year and the years to come. I just think that this pool, at least, is probably the best in the NHL, and it's pretty close, at least for the Lightning, and there's a couple other teams, but I think that it is the best prospect pool, at least from any AHL team. Now, of course, there is some competition there, but I think that at least the Canucks had the best NHL-ready talent, at least at this point. Now, I'll go for some honorable mentions, and we'll start with the Kings, who have Gabriel Velarde. A couple other players, but Gabriel Velarde is probably their best prospect by far. He's done fantastic in the OHL, and he's looking to be fantastic in the NHL. You got the Leafs, who have Liljegren. A couple other players. They have a lot of Swedish imports and a lot of European players coming up through the system, so that's great. But Liljegren probably tops off that class. You got the Blues, who have Jordan Kyrou, who's doing fantastic in the OHL, and he's looking to be pretty much a stud in the rough. I mean, I think he was drafted in the second round, third round, something like that, but he's looking to be pretty much steal at that age because he's looking fantastic there. You got the Coyotes, who have quite a few stockpiled picks. You got Chichurin, you got Strom. I mean, there's quite a few options there that they've been kind of stockpiling for the last few years. And then you got the Rangers, who, of course, went on this rebuild in last year and have quite stockpiled quite a good draft class that they've gotten together, and they have quite a few options. They got Shishjorkin, goaltender-wise. They got Elias Anderson. They got Chichil from the last draft, and they're looking pretty decent, at least prospect-wise, and I think they can be pretty stacked in the next couple of years if they draft well and continue to play well. And there's just a lot of teams that are really, really decent, at least prospect pool-wise, that didn't get quite on this list. And even in the honorable mentions, I mean, I could have put my Dallas Stars on there, but I didn't quite feel it. There's quite a few teams that are in that area where their prospect pool is pretty decent. I could have put them on the honorable mentions, but I just did not. But again, the four prospect pools that I mentioned, the Sabres, you got the Wild, you got the Lightning, you got the Canucks, are probably my favorite, at least for NHL talent-wise. At least I'd say that those are the four best in the NHL right now. But that's gonna, guys. Like, subscribe, and not ring that bell. Tell me down below what you think the best prospect pool in the NHL is, at least team-wise, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.